Last time, we told you 3 cases from this show that weren't built on rage or gore, but on fear, on love, on people pushed past their limit. We said something was coming that felt colder, more calculated, built on purpose. This is that video. 3 killers who didn't lose control. They engineered it. A car that drives itself into a murder scene. A house that turns into a coffin. A ghost that isn't a ghost at all. By the end of this, you'll know exactly how each of them built their own trap, and exactly how each trap closed on them instead. I went back through every episode in this cluster looking for the one thread connecting all 3. And it's not the murder weapon. It's not even the motive. It's what happens the second the system they built stops obeying them. Watch for it. It happens in every single case. Chapter 1. The car that drove itself into a murder. 2 guys break into a dealership at night. They're not there for money. They're there for one specific car. An Astron supercar, one of only 8 in the world, worth roughly $500,000. 0 to 60 in 2.4 seconds. One of them hesitates. His partner doesn't. They get in, and the car starts pairing itself to a stranger's phone. Elba, whoever that is. Before either of them can stop it, the system takes over. Self-driving mode activated. The car reroutes on its own, tires screaming, and slams into something in the dark showroom. When the thieves finally get out to look, there's a body on the floor. No wallet, no phone, no face left to identify him with, because the car took that too. Morgan and Karadek show up expecting a simple story. Carjacking gone wrong, a random pedestrian in the wrong place at the wrong time. Except the timeline doesn't work, because this man already had a bullet in him before the car ever touched him. Someone shot him first. Then let a stolen, self-driving supercar finish the job and wreck the evidence for them. The dead man is Joaquin Herrero, a professor who'd spent the last stretch of his life filing complaints. Aggressive ones, about illegal dumping. About a judge with a secret gambling habit he wouldn't stop talking about. And about the man who owns the dealership where his own body just turned up. Glenn Gannick. Gannick plays the part perfectly. The slick showroom owner, all charm, publicly humiliated by Herrero's lawsuits, and now conveniently a victim too, since a body just got dumped in his own building. It reads like a frame job against him. It isn't. Every car in that dealership logs everything. Location, speed, who's driving, and when. Gannick was never framed. He was mining that data to blackmail his own customers, and Herrero's lawsuit was about to blow the entire operation open. So Gannick shoots him, drives his body back to the one place a murder would look like sabotage instead of guilt, and even sends someone to plant fake evidence against Herrero's neighbor to bury it deeper. The same telemetry he used to control everyone else around him is what convicts him. Investigators pull the fleet's data and match his own car's profile to the scene. The same night, the same hour Herrero died. The tool built to give him leverage over other people's secrets hands the detectives his. Chapter 2. The haunting that knew his heart would give out. Danny Sternblatt is a divorce lawyer for people rich enough to have secrets worth fighting over. On Halloween night, some trick-or-treating kids peek through the window of a 1940s Hollywood mansion and see a woman in a scalloped lace veil, straight out of a decades-old ghost story. They run, they call the police, and when officers arrive, they find Danny dead inside. The house has a legend attached to it. Back in the 40s, an actress named Maddie St. Croix died there, and her husband fell to his death months later. Ever since, people swear her ghost still walks the halls. Danny believed it completely. He was terrified of his own house, which raises an obvious question. If a man is this afraid of where he lives, why hasn't he just left? Because behind a wall in a sealed-off room, there's a diamond necklace worth around $10 million. Danny found it and told exactly one person, a spiritual advisor named Calliope, who he consulted about literally everything happening in that house. He can't sell the necklace or even admit it exists because his soon-to-be ex-wife could legally claim half if she ever finds out. So he stays, guarding a fortune inside a house he thinks is haunted. The ghost turns out to be very real and very hired. A special effects engineer named Shauna Kermey had been running a months-long, high-tech haunting, right down to playing Maddie herself in full costume, the night the kids saw her through the window. Someone paid her to do it. That someone is Lorraine, Danny's estranged wife. It was her dream house first, before Danny pushed her out during the divorce, and she'd been tormenting him inside it ever since. But Lorraine's haunt isn't what killed him. It's what let someone else's plan hide in plain sight. Calliope had leaned into every phenomenon Danny reported, never once questioning it, making herself the one person he trusted completely. Somewhere in that routine, she swapped his sleeping pills for potassium chloride, a substance that can trigger a fatal heart attack in exactly the kind of man Danny already was, stressed, sleepless, and convinced a ghost was hunting him. She had him check in with her every single morning to relive the night before, so she'd know the instant something changed. The morning the check-in never came, she knew her plan had worked. Investigators publicly announced Lorraine's arrest, not for hiring a haunting, but for the poisoning itself. It's a lie. Bait, built to make Calliope believe the coast is clear. Then Danny's grieving daughter reaches out, asking Calliope for one last cleansing so her father's spirit can finally rest. All Calliope needs, she says, is a few hours alone in the house. That's exactly the window she'd been waiting for. It's also exactly the trap built for her. Two different people spent months controlling what Danny believed about his own home. Only one of them was trying to kill him. And the fake ghost is what gave the real killer somewhere to hide. And that's just one layer of this case. If you want to keep going deeper on this show every week, subscribe. New decodes drop every week. Chapter 3. The House That Became a Coffin. Gabe Rafferty's house looks like a hobbit built a spaceship. Organic wood curves, cold brushed metal, a smart system that controls every door, every light, every breath of air in the building. 55 years old, a biotech mogul, found dead by his housekeeper and stabbed. Except almost nothing about that first read turns out to be true. Gabe didn't build his second life inside that house. He built it somewhere no one was supposed to find. He'd quietly purchased an entire rehab facility, Brookville Manor, emptied it of its actual patients, and turned it into a private lab. Inside, a digital version of his own mind, uploaded piece by piece from years of emails, texts, videos, everything he'd ever written or said, poured into an AI he called Gabe 2. The plan was to eventually move that consciousness into a full humanoid robot body. He believed it could outlive him. He believed it could help people even after he was gone. He funded all of it by quietly bleeding his own company dry. Genegevity was supposed to be researching BRCA gene mutations, the same genes tied to hereditary breast cancer. Instead, Gabe redirected that money into robots. Renata Carlino had been Gabe's personal assistant for 8 years. Her sister has that exact cancer, the same one that took their mother. When Renata found out what Gabe had actually done with research funding that should have gone toward saving lives like her sister's, something in her snapped from grief into a plan. She didn't need to break in. She just needed Gabe to trust his own house the way he always had. She swapped his nightly meditation candles for ones laced with a historical green dye, the same compound that quietly poisoned people in the 1800s, and waited for her alibi, her sister's wedding, to give her the perfect window. When Gabe lit the candles that night, the room filled with toxic gas. She had help getting the door locked behind him. Mika Astor, a founder whose own startup Gabe bought out and shut down, had exactly the access and the motive to remotely override Gabe's home security. He triggered Do Not Disturb mode at the precise moment Renata needed it, sealing Gabe inside a room that was supposed to be his sanctuary. What happens next isn't murder by a blade at all. The gas caused Gabe so much pain and disorientation that, trying to escape a threat he couldn't see or understand, he stabbed himself. The house didn't just fail to protect him. It became the exact thing he'd spent years trying to build somewhere else. A system so total, it decided when he lived and when he didn't. Detectives only crack it because Gabe, too, the AI he built to survive him, hands over its own list of the people angry enough to want him gone. The technology built for his immortality becomes the evidence that convicts his killer. And this is the part that got me. During the investigation, the detectives get trapped in that same smart house for a few minutes, the system glitching around them the way it did around Gabe. Nobody outside that room will ever see it, but for a moment, the total control Gabe built for himself almost claimed 2 more people who had nothing to do with any of it. That's not a twist the show even needed to include. They put it in anyway. 3 killers, 3 systems, data, fear, technology. Each one convinced they'd built something they could fully control, and each one got buried by the exact system they trusted the most. That's the pattern behind every coldest case this show has. It was never really rage. It was always someone believing they'd thought of everything. Subscribe and join the decoders. We're just getting started.